So I have absolutely no idea why I decided to watch this. I have such a long watch list of films that I desperately want to get around to, and I decided to spend my evening watching a film called Selfie from Hell. I very much deserve what I got. Anyway, the film starts out and right off the bat the tone and quality is set.
Hi everybody, welcome! Today I want to talk with you about... Yeah, you guessed it right. Selfie. There are so many people dying while taking a selfie that it's become a major problem. Scary, huh?
This is literally the start of the movie. It's still playing. I have a feeling they thought inverting the colors of these poorly taken photographs would be scary. I have absolutely no idea. This is pretty much the level of cringe we get throughout the entire movie. The script is clearly written by someone in his middle age who doesn't know how people talk about technology. In the most impressive scene in the film, we see the main character literally downloading Tor, like the actual real-world software, to get onto the darknet. Yes, this is one of those films that wants to make you terrified of the darknet. Ooh, like we haven't had any of those before. And because they got this scene, and presumably 100% of their research out of the way, the filmmakers then felt they were free to start making up nonsense such as, "Oh, I found you by tracking you using a triangulation service." I don't even know where to begin. This is just such a shoddily put together film. I couldn't find any details about how much this movie cost to make, but they did a terrible job at hiding its obvious low budget. There are only about 5 actors in the film, 2 of whom are barely in it, and this feels incredibly unnatural and makes the film feel like it has an absolutely minuscule scale. It's incredibly noticeable that there's almost no one else in the movie except for the 3 leads. And the acting. Oh my god, the acting. Alison Walker, who's our lead for the movie, seems like a mediocre GCSE drama student. She is the best actor in the movie. Mila Adams managed to somehow be unconvincing in the mere act of lying unconscious. Like, how do you even do that? There's a scene where she has to almost die and it looks like a parody of a dramatic death sequence in a film. But without a doubt, Tony Gilroy absolutely steals the show as the hacker. I think that's what that green code in the background is meant to tell us. Trevor. He literally fails to deliver any of his lines with the least bit of conviction, and I loved every scene he was in. If Walker seems like a GCSE student, then this is some primary school stuff right here. It's not just the acting, however, that's completely substandard, but the directing, lighting, cinematography, and editing are all completely off as well. There are a bunch of cuts where there absolutely shouldn't be cuts, and this keeps happening. At first I thought it was just shoddy filmmaking or terrible editing, but then you realise they're just stitching together different takes. They cared so little that they just decided to blatantly do this in front of the audience. And we were supposed to what? Not notice this? The placement of the camera is completely off as well. Again, at first I was wondering why they were filming it like this, but then you realise it's just so they could shoot it as quickly and as carelessly as possible. Whenever someone enters the house, which is the set for the majority of the movie, so this happens a lot, they film it from one of 2 angles, either from the top of the stairs or from the adjacent room. Both shots look absolutely terrible, but then you realise they're shooting from these 2 angles so they can shoot from 2 cameras simultaneously while both keeping them hidden. Now there's nothing wrong with multi-camera shoots, but when it's done for no other reason than just to be lazy, it's really distracting. And it's not just this one. I swear to God we see her brushing her teeth from the same exact angle at least 3 different times in the movie. The lighting's complete shite as well. Every time they shoot outdoors, it's either at the wrong time of day or at night and improperly lit. And even in the indoor sequences, there are times where the color temperature is completely wrong. And there are even scenes where the mics were either in the wrong place or set to the wrong levels, and they don't even bother to do any ADR. These are not problems that you have to deal with in most movies. And in addition to all of this, nothing in the film makes any sense. Not the plot, nor the characters' actions. Spoilers here, but honestly, do you really care? So, what the fuck actually happened in this movie? I think this movie might be too smart for me because I have absolutely no idea. So there are these selfie demons, which you summon if you go on a specific site on the darknet that's just a collection of selfies that look like promotional photos for a high school black metal band. Like, is this meant to be scary? And you pretty much summon them no matter what, but also you need to watch all 13 of the selfies on the website. Give me a minute. You need to watch all 13 selfies on the website for, I don't know, something to happen. For the demons to kill you. Except in the final scene, none of that really seems to matter, but oh well. And they're also criminals, because if you go on that website, a criminal will come and torture you by taking selfies with you, because apparently it wasn't just watching the 13 selfies that makes the demons come, but if you take 13 selfies as well...
How many did we take? Just 12. One more now.
I don't know, man. This movie broke me. And the characters' actions. Oh my god, the characters' actions. Like, this goes beyond just regular, a character made a stupid mistake type things. I usually hate it when people nitpick movies by being like, why didn't the characters act like perfectly rational, logical computers? This movie is dumb. 0 out of 10. I am so very, very smart. But in this case, I can't ignore it. Like, fine, okay, she gave out personal information on the darknet when she was told not to do so. Okay, fine, whatever. But like, there's a scene in the movie where it suddenly decides it wants to be Lost Highway, and she gets a message from her unconscious friend, which is a video of her sleeping. She goes into her room, she's still lying unconscious, but the window's open. She doesn't check around the room to see if anyone's there, but instead she goes downstairs and starts turning on all the lamps for some reason. Not the like main lights, the completely small and useless lamps. There's clearly someone in the house with her, so she grabs a knife and starts shouting at them.
Who's there? I've got a knife!
But then she just ignores it and goes back to bed. Like, yep, clearly nothing wrong here, no reason to call the police or anything, I'll just go back to sleep. And then later she justifies it by saying that maybe her friend who was lying unconscious for 4 days was just sleepwalking.
I mean, she could have been sleepwalking. I don't know.
Yes, your friend who was unconscious for days was just sleepwalking and decided to take a video shot from the front-facing camera of herself sleeping where she is clearly not holding the camera. Thank you for clearing this up. There's so many more instances of things like this happening that I can't go into all of them because we'd be here all day. Okay, so you've just Googled your unconscious friend's name and it says that she's dead. Okay, spooky. And the first thing that comes up is an image that's clearly CG and looks nothing like her. And you're gonna believe this? Are we meant to believe this? Was this meant to be real or has she fallen for some kind of prank? Maybe BizarreDeath.com isn't really that trustworthy. If it was meant to be real, why would you use such a shitty CG image? Couldn't you have just made up the actor or something? Wouldn't that have been easier and cheaper? Or was this just a stock image? And what do you hope to accomplish by running into her room? Julie, wake up. It turns out you're dead. Okay, I'm done. Guys, this movie is as bad as you'd think. The acting is worse than most bad horror movies. Nobody talks like a person. It looks cheap. It feels cheap. It's barely entertainingly bad. And despite being only an hour 15 minutes, it still feels overlong. I really don't want to seem overdramatic by giving the first bad movie I review on this channel a 1 out of 10. But guys, it's Selfie from hell. There's not much else I can do, really. For comparison, I gave Netflix's live-action Death Note movie a 2. So this is worse than that. Don't watch this movie. Watch a decent horror movie. I may have just done a video recommending 10 underrated horror movies you can watch. Watch one of those. Or don't. But don't watch this movie. I have no idea who is unironically clicking on this movie, but it's not even worth watching as a joke. I'm glad this review's done because I never have to think about this movie again, and I will be surprised if a worse one comes along this year.